responds with the truest and simplest of answers. He says, words, words, words. We talk, we read, and true, all are words, words, words. Yet we're quite aware of the fact that words are a variety of endless flavors. Some are sweet, some are sour, some we take with a grain of salt, and some you salivate waiting to hear. Others you wish you did not have to swallow. Yet the easiness with which we speak doesn't necessarily correspond with the accuracy with which we should speak. In today's digital world, from a text message to a Facebook status, to a Twitter feed, to an email, the weight our words carry is tremendous. Because these very ubiquitous meanings carry chiefly our words. No body language, no eye contact, and no auditory tone. And our words carry the entire responsibility of delivering a message. And no wonder that we end up either overstating or understating the very meaning we're dying to deliver. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and if your answer is yes, I want you to applaud. Okay. Question 1. How many of us have paid the price for the sheer reason of not precisely and accurately stating a command, an idea, a proposal, or even an apology? Another question. How many of us, after some interaction, ask themselves, what did I say wrong? And go over everything you've said to find out what went wrong? One last one. How many of us have apologized after a joke because you can't really remember the punchline that made it so funny? So apparently, we all have experienced the fact that words, which are the building blocks of language, are pieces of neural audio technology responsible for rewiring people's minds, including our own. Toni Morrison brilliantly remarks that oppressive language does more than represent violence. It is violence. Does more than represent the limits of knowledge. It limits knowledge. Through the sheer use of her words, Toni Morrison has freed language from being a mere means to another end value to being the sovereign value of itself. And true, words can become a steep hill, ending with a cliff, where our statements fall, crashing, reaching no one. Or worse, they can become bullets, difficult to dodge. Or ideally, they can become bridges, where our statements travel safely and accurately, reaching the other side. Words dress in various gowns to address various intents. Correct or wrong, create a relationship, communicate an idea, persuade a partner, and more often than we would like, manage an argument. Each and every one of us is in the midst of so many different relationships. Let's confine them and define them into 3 different domains. First, the workplace with its colleagues and CEOs. Second, personal relationship with its family members and friends. And last, the mind, the self, with its facets and dimensions. First, the workplace. C, a meeting room. CEOs and managers are surrounding the meeting room. You and a coworker have been working on a project for a long time, and the day is now where both of you are alternately representing the project. Yet for some reason, when it's their turn to talk, they answer a follow-up question, they pitch the idea, and they sound more resonant and more precise. And even though your supervisors know in advance that you are an equal partner in the creative process, and even though your co-worker keeps restating the fact that you are equally responsible for the idea or the project, most of the meeting attendees leave the room associating the idea more with your co-worker than you. Another scene, a classroom on their test day. You should have glanced at the friend you were studying with the night before, and they're firing away the answers. And you're wondering what happened. And then the test results are out, and they have gotten a higher grade, sometimes even significantly higher, even though you studied the same exact information together for the same amount of hours together. The reason for success in both scenarios is precision of language and the ability of the quality of stating one's own mind. And there are so many other scenarios where your words infinitely impact the workplace. Miscommunication and poor communication have been the reason for the failures of so many projects. Malpractice complaints have been some of the reasons that companies have fallen apart. Even sometimes, if you think about it rationally, if a client communicates well with an employee, a client satisfaction would become higher, and hence a company's revenue would become higher. And within a company itself, if the communication wheels among its own workers are oiled properly, they actually remarkably report less turnover. We are living in a world where speaking our own mind and accurately delivering our thoughts are elementary skills. Ain Ali, the renowned Egyptian linguist, have repeatedly noted in his writings that we are living in a world where finding information and conducting research are definitely easier and more accessible than before. And our challenge lies predominantly in our ability to find the veins of cross-cultural notions and ideas, and to creatively reconstruct these pieces of information into new creative outcomes. Sometimes these outcomes are only and merely presentations, ideas worth spreading, where the talks are not only divided by their theme or their topic, but also by the nature of their words, inspiring, artistic, informative, jaw-dropping. If you look at the TED Talk list of the most popular talks, one can only come up with one conclusion. The one common factor among all these talks is not the age or the gender of the speaker, it's not their background, it's not the amount of people attending, and it's definitely not the script or the length of the script of the talk. It's rather the quality of the well-spoken word. A huge chunk of our thinking process happens in the form of words. Language, which means to deliver our thoughts is of essence, because speaking alone does not guarantee communication. On the other hand, speaking without accuracy, without precision, might land you in a place of confusion on the other end of what you intended to deliver, costing you not only to redundantly repeat yourself, but to actually correct a miscommunication conducted before. Since words have the power to rewire the brain, imagine the difference in the workplace if instead of only having a dressing coat, you have an addressing coat, because addressing matters and because words matter. So a problem is called a challenge, and an argument or a fight is approached and handled as a dialogue. We have to check our words. We have to practice our presentations to make sure that our words are a bridge, not leading into a dead end. The second domain, personal relationships with our family and friends, where communication, unlike in the workplace, is full-on charged with emotion, and therefore far more delicate, entailing with it an urgency to make sure that our words and our expressions are kind and careful. In a dance, you can only step on the foot of the one you're dancing with. And who do we closer dance with than our own partners? When we are dancing smoothly and happily together, because we come from the same background, same religion, same country, same social and financial background, to build a relationship, we still have to use expressions and words to mean the same thing. For example, a husband coming home after a long day at work might mean to him complete detachment from the working day, no talking about what happened at work, sitting in front of TV, going through the channels, and making sure not to watch one single one of them. On the other hand, the wife comes home, and she's eager to connect and further talks and discussion about her day. Who showed up? Who didn't? Who said something in a meeting? And who did not come up with any new idea at all? Such a difference at a semantic level can actually lead to miscommunication, to a tension that is completely needless. We need to have our words and their meanings match those of our own partners to better oil the wheels of our interactions. If the dance is not really going smoothly, and we're stepping on each other's feet, causing each other pain, and in dire need to voice out a misunderstanding or a disagreement, using our words then is even more critical than when it's all moonlight and roses. It's so easy for all of us to remember so many fights that did not end up about the cause of it, but about the words that were conducted during it. So statements like, I can't believe you told me that, or I can't believe this is what you would describe me with, sprinkle through so many of our own fights. And unfortunately, sometimes when these words are released, they are bullets, and they shoot the prospects of a relationship dead. John Gottman, who's actually researched the language of communication between couples, have found out and reinforced various times that the words, specifically the words used in a fight between a couple, determine the longevity of their own relationship. And he has been able to exactly do that with more than 97% accuracy. He would test the couple's words and test for 3 toxic components: criticism, contempt, and defensiveness. Sentences of criticism are the ones like, I can't believe you never listened to me. Others of contempt are like, I can't believe I provided you with all these sacrifices, you don't deserve that. And those of defensiveness are like, you study with them, they're your kids. Evidently, the words that we use in our relationship is both the symptom for what's wrong with it and the cure for it. Since words have the ability to reconcile a conflict, imagine the difference in your relationship if instead of firing up a fight with your spouse once they come back from work with, I need to talk and you never listen to me, you actually start a dialogue saying, this is important to me, I know you would listen. We have to practice our words, and we have to check that we are kind and caring, and that our words stitch up the cuts of a conflict, not deepen the wounds of a loved one. Third, and lastly, the self, the mind. Within our own selves and within our own minds, there go a lot of talks and dialogues and monologues. When Socrates was asked to define thought, he says it's the dialogue that the self has with itself. The human mind thinks between 400 to 600 words a minute. Can you imagine the impact the nature of these words would have on you? Scientists have found out that the nature of these words, how mindful they are, can make our lives much better and make us imagine who we are in a wiser way. Cognitive scientists have found out that actually, when we are depressed, we negatively insist that everything around us is negative, even when the facts are positive. We are capable, only through the use of our internal monologue, to make everything around us that is real, unreal. And in doing so, we overgeneralize, using statements like, nobody likes me in class. I would definitely fail on the next project. We also use statements where we falsely label others and ourselves. I am too unattractive, I'm too fat, I'm too uninteresting to be loved. We even think in all or nothing terms. So we're either absolute winners, or most of the time, miserable losers. We even think in dichotomous thoughts, where we are unable to think in shades of gray. So everything is absolute. My entire career is down the drain. All my studying has gone to waste. In an interview with Jon Stewart, Malala Yousafzai walks us through a very interesting internal monologue of hers, where she used her self-talk to simplify and deconstruct the most of threatening situations. She says, if the Taliban comes, what would you do, Malala? Then she would say to herself, Malala, pick up the shoes and hit it. And then she would say to herself, if you pick up the shoes and hit the Taliban, there would be no difference between you and the Taliban. And no wonder she's the youngest person to win the Nobel Prize, for she has mastered the art of self-talk, using her internal monologue and her words to both practice and test her own principles. Actually, self-talk is the first form of pep talk, where we walk ourselves by a conscious instruction. Look at a toddler when they're building a Lego house. They're talking to themselves the whole time, trying to help themselves as if there's a manual at the back of their mind helping them through. We can use the words, deploy these words in our mind that we juggle all the time to simplify the world around us, to verbally minimize the gravity of a situation, and to walk ourselves so easily in baby steps out of despair. Just like Dory's slogan in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Now, since words have the ability to regenerate human experience, imagine the difference in your life if instead of receiving a challenge, saying, I hate this, you actually assertively say, I got this. We have to practice our words and make sure that our words light up the alleys of our mind, not hide the demons of despair. For most of my 20s, I traveled a lot and I lived abroad, which supplied me with very little time to spend with my mother. My mother, who is the reason behind my own being, always felt a little bit left out because she doesn't understand or speak English, the language I study and earn a living teaching. One day, of the few ones I took off, I sat with her watching television. A chick flick movie was on, and the movie ends with a note. The note is a poem of E.E. Cummings, read by the main character to her elder sister. My mom had no idea that it was my favorite poem. It goes like this. Here's the secret nobody knows. Here's the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope and the mind can hide. And here's the wonder that's keeping the stars above. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. As I was watching this, I was hoping that I could explain it to my mom without interrupting the movie. And then all of a sudden I remembered I was in Egypt, in Cairo, and the movie has Arabic subtitles. And my mom has read, listened, and understood the very words that have made themselves so lovable and favorite to me. Then, my mom, my mother, in her voice, the voice that is the darling of all voices, caresses my hair and says in the best, sweetest, broken English I have ever heard, I carry your heart, I carry it in my heart. Along with fire, water, earth, and wind, words are an element. And just like the elements, we are the ones in need of them. And just like with the elements, we have to be grateful, graceful, and precise with them. Because it's in the precision of our own language where we can find the depth and the sense and the sensible, and above all, the real and the possible. Thank you.